Welcome to the Grassroots Nonprofit Bootcamp Session 5. Today, thank you everyone for coming back and joining us again. We'll probably have some people kind of coming in, straggling in. Spring is approaching, and maybe we thinking about that time we're going to lose tonight. Don't forget to change your clocks. Don't forget to change your clocks. Don't be sad. Right now. Don't be sad. Let me make you happy. Today we're talking about leadership, and we all know that we leaders come in many different forms and fashions, but there are some key tenets to leadership that my sister friend, Miss Amelia Gibbon, is going to take us through today. We have a very engaging program for you today. We are disconnected. We are not on technology today. Miss Amelia is an in-person, chop it up, get to know people in person type of person. So today, this is conversation, activities, of course, and even a panel discussion at the end, in addition to our lunch and the other things. So we expect a great day today. And I'm going to turn it over to Amelia Gibbons. Amelia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Miss Crystal. Good morning, everyone. No technology. How does that feel? Weird, right? No, because I'm like, okay, we're talking about something that's very personal today. We're talking about leadership and how you define it and what does it look like for you in your space. And sometimes we can get bombarded with videos and YouTube and all that's great. But I believe as a facilitator is really about relationship building and interacting and hearing from the people that I'm talking with and to. It's not me lecturing, it's me sharing my experiences with you and hearing back from you about where you are and what it is you want to know and what has impacted you in terms of leadership. Do you even want to be a leader? How do you define leadership, right? Those are all the burning questions and things we're going to be talking about today. We're also going to play Uno, and we're going to play Jenga, and I got some money. Okay, it's play money here. You get to earn money when you ask questions, because at the end of the day, how many of you are familiar with the term life coaching? Okay, so one of the things that I do in the Sandbox, which is the name of my company, is life coaching. So as you earn your play money today, I will be auctioning off opportunities to do some group coaching and one-on-one life coaching, just to see how you feel about that. And we'll be talking about subjects like networking versus net weaving. You ever heard of that? Net weaving. So we talk about networking. You know, that's typical. You go in the room, you hand out your business card, you take names, right? But there's this concept called net weaving, where you are actually weaving together intentionally relationships that support you or your organization. So in my coaching session, we'll be talking about how to do net weaving as opposed to networking. Because one is very transactional, networking, and net weaving is very transformational. So in your notes, you'll see we talk about the words transactional and transformational. Because as a leader, you'll have to decide, where do I want to focus? Do I want to be more of a transactional leader or a transformational leader? So we'll be deep diving into a lot of terminology today, and hopefully applying it when we go play our games. Okay? Y'all not too old to play games, are you? Because I could talk for 4 hours, but good God. Okay. All right. I can do it. Do we have any, who's an introvert and extrovert? Let me see my introverts. Any introverts in the room? Okay. And everybody else extroverts? Okay, so a little bit of both. I am a definite introvert. So when introvert people do extrovert activities, we get tired, right? So I promise you, you will not stay beyond 2 o'clock, because I'm going to be exhausted by talking and engaging. And I'll be running home saying, don't call me, please. I can't talk to anybody else after 4 hours of dealing with people, right? It is. But understanding that's very important for you to understand as a leader, right? Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? Because all it means is, how do you recharge at the end of the day? Extroverts need people. They hate being alone, right? They want to be with a crowd. They want to engage. Introverts like, please don't ask me another question. Please don't ask me to go do short talks with people, or ask me just to go say, hey, how you doing? And ask strangers questions that you don't even care about the answer to, right? People try to get me to be to go and do those networking sessions. I'm like, what am I talking about? Just ask people how they doing. I said, do I really care? I mean, seriously, right now? You want me to do what? And then they tell you how they doing. Then you're like, oh my God, they won't shut up. And I can't, because I'm an introvert, I don't know how to gracefully say, I'm going to move over here. I'm just stuck. And I know all about their business. And I'm going, oh my God, this is why I didn't want to come right here. This is why I did not want to do it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, not a lot, because who cares? It's not about me, it's about you. So from a leadership space, and I want to talk about different segments of my life, because what we have to understand about leadership, it does not end and begin at your job. If you are a leader, you have to incorporate every area of your life into your leadership, because every area of your life is impacted by your ability to successfully lead. So in the home, I'm the mother of 2 adult children. I made it. Clap it up for me, because there were days and I was like, good Lord, what? I'm sorry, Jesus. I said I was sorry. Why you let these kids do this to me, right? But my daughter is on the faculty of the University of Toledo. She has her EDD. She's Dr. Gibbon. I'm so proud of her. Because to know my story, I was a teenage mom. I met all the stats, right? And according to all the statistics, there's no way I should have survived, let alone my children prosper. My son is a coach. He coaches in Northwood schools, and he also has his own business. He's entering into the world of entrepreneurship. He does youth services. So I get really excited about them and where they are, because, this is going to be a very transparent, real conversation. When I became a mom, they told me climb on the abortion table. Like, your life over with. You need to just stop and go. You want to live your life. Why make this sacrifice now? But that same little girl is teaching people how to change lives and teaching people how to save lives, right? So you don't listen to this, right? You got to listen to this, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your intuition. It's the gifts that you have inside of you that should guide you, because you will hear a lot of voices, right? So just a little bit about that. We're going to talk about leadership from a very grassroots perspective, but I know some people prefer to know that you are credentialed. So I hold a master's in organizational leadership from Loras University, and an undergrad from the University of Toledo, where I did my own studies. I focused on public administration and social services. It's always been about people for me at the end of the day. So that's the educational piece. Let's see. Probably the most impactful. So on a global scale, in 2017, I spent 2 weeks in New York at the United Nations. I was a delegate to the Women's Commission, the study of women's, and that was an impactful place for me as a leader, because I got the opportunity to represent our country and talking to other women from across the world, right? And what was really interesting to me was their perception of what America was like. Because at that time, I just left the Friendly Center, so I led a nonprofit, right? Everybody know about the North End, the Friendly Center. I did that for 6 years, and the women that I spoke with believed that, oh my God, Amelia, you got to have it easy. There's nothing. America has everything. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? We are I-75 for human trafficking, right? We are the most impoverished area. There is food deserts all over the place, like all these issues, and that's leaders having their voice, right? When we talk about leadership this morning, we have a definition that says something about the ability to do social influences, right? To understand leadership is about your ability to influence. It's not about your ability to tell people what to do. When you are in a position that you have a title, and it's only because of your title that you can tell people what to do, that's called positional leadership. And when your title is gone, guess what happened? You too. You're not a leader anymore. You ever met those people who walk into a room and they have the ability, and people start following them? You're trying to figure out, why are they following them? It's because they're using leadership as a position of influence, right? Because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's your ability to influence people to meet a goal, to help them reach outside of themselves to achieve something else. Leadership is about relationships. And if you're an introvert and you don't deal well with people, leadership is very challenging for us on the outside, right? Because we don't want to talk to everybody to begin with. But one thing I have to say about introverts, we think things to death, do we not? Introverts, people, we go into a meeting, they like, what do you think? Don't ask me. Wait a minute, I'm processing. I am processing right now, right? And so introverts make good leaders. This is my own personal bias because we think about it and we think about it some more and we think about it a whole bunch more. Uh, so leadership is about influence. Hold on to that because that's the premises in which we will be working today. Understanding that leadership is about influence. Let's not talk about leadership as about people telling me what to do. Leadership is about who has the most money, who has the most power. Leadership is about your ability to influence. All right? I'm going to take a breath. Woo! Tell you, this is your chance to earn $20 in play money. If you want to give me some burning questions, ask me what you want to know about what you've been, when you thought about this idea of coming in here and talk about leadership today, what's the question that's on your heart and your mind that you want to talk about or throw at me? Miss Janae. Well, if you are reaching your goals, well, let me back up and say, according to your notes, we talk about transactional and transformational leadership, right? So if you are a leader that operates from a transactional space, and transactional is about, I'm going to give you this if you do that. I'm going to give you money if you ask me a question, right? Right? And if you don't ask me a question, I ain't giving you no money. It's punitive, right? That's transactional leadership at the end of the day, right? Transformational leadership is about challenging your followers. You help them to develop and you push them outside of themselves so they will transform. And it's the same concept about your company or your organization, right? If you want your organization to do it to be transformational, you've got to step outside of the comfort zone to change that environment in which you operate in. Does that make sense? So now to ask your questions, when you hit your goal, when you see transformation happen, when you see that employer or your team member to actually show up and care and start doing the work, without a paycheck or worried about the money because they care, that's transformation. You see it happening, right? That's when you know you've been successful because you see the transformation. Or if you're all about making that money and you have a goal to raise $100,000 and you get 2 grants, 50 grand each, that's transactional, but you hit that goal. So that's effective leadership. Does that answer your question? Yeah. All right, you want your money? Yes, ma'am. All right. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Any burning questions? Any? All right. Burning questions. Yes, ma'am. Miss Heather.
So I've heard that leaders are born and not made. Do you believe in that statement?
So that is a very personal question to people, right? I believe that leaders are born. I believe that you can give individuals skill sets, certain skill sets that will help them to improve their performance. But I think people who are really successful at leadership is something inside of here that will motivate them to go way past that check, way past all the other tangible things that they'll receive, right? Leadership costs something. Everybody's not willing to pay the cost. I heard a speaker say once, leadership is not about what you give up. It's not about what you get. It's about what you're willing to give up. Right? Because to be a leader means there's going to be more required of you. And you have to figure out, if I have 10 items a day, but I'm the leader, either I'm going to add to these 10 items, I'm going to give away, but I still got to show up because I'm the leader, right? How many of you are in charge of your own organization, your own business, right? When nobody else show up, what you got to do? You got to show up. How do you teach that skill? How do you teach that? You can tell somebody you should do it, but a leader will get up and do it anyhow because at the end of the day, they know it stops with me. The people behind me looking at me, right? I'm so passionate about my mission. I got to get it done. Whether nobody else do it, I'm gonna do it. And you talk about in a home, right? Everybody, we have mamas. Hopefully everybody had mama like I had, who like, I don't care what mama got up and got it done. Mm-hmm. My mother, we grew up in the South. My mother picked cotton, right? But she decided she wanted to do something different in her life. So she would work third shift as a nurse's aide, but get up and start walking from here to Owens and hoping somebody give her a ride to become a nurse because she wanted to do something different with her life. And she wanted to model that in front of us, right? So she was a leader in our home, and she showed up every time to get it done. That leadership, right? So somebody else, tell me about somebody you've seen that you know is a good leader because of their actions. Let me hear some stories. Yes, ma'am.
This was impactful for me when I was working for this, and there was a brand manager and the elevator manager, and so they would go at it all the time. And in their meetings, you would always hear the brand manager boast about his 25 years of experience, and just years after years. And so there's one day he goes, the maintenance manager said, "Well, you know what, Derwin, you can have 25 years of experience or an experience 25 times." Wow. Mm. And the whole room just.
Say it again.
You can have 25 years of experience, or you can have an experience
25 times. And what did that mean for you, and how did that impact your journey?
If you're not learning, you're not learning. So you keep going over the same thing over and over and over.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good job. There you go. Very proud of you. That was a good experience.
I need 10.
Anybody else?
I feel like I need double for my trouble because you forgot to give me my money.
And that is transactional leadership. Wait a minute. Here you go, baby.
Thank you.
Right? That's transactional leadership at its best. At its best. Who else? Let me hear from you.
My sister at her church in New York, she is like the evangelist of the church, and she's always been for building the church. And the what they call the vestry, they wanted to get rid of the priest that they had, and they kept fighting him and fighting him and fighting him. And he was trying to do good things in the church and build the church. And it is the oldest Episcopalian Black church in Harlem. And so he finally got to the point where his health was being drained. So he decided, to step back. And so now it's all on her. And because she's the head warden, she's in charge and got to call all these different different priests. You got to find a priest for every Sunday to do service until they get somebody. And this has been like the fourth priest that they have been through in the last, I would say, 10 years. And she's been overwhelmed, but she has never stopped. She always is there. She's there for everything. And every time I call her, she's like, I got to go to the church. I got to do this. I got to do this. And I'm like, you are always there doing, who else steps up for you? And she said, well, I have to do it. She says, because I believe in my church and I want it to thrive. And so I admire her because she spends a lot of time doing that. And besides taking care of my dad and my mom when she was alive. So, to me, that's a true leader. She's going to make sure that the church is okay and make sure that everything is going fine for the church until they find another leader that the congregation could appreciate, I guess.
So do you think she is transactional or transformational or a combination of both?
I think of both. I think it's a combination of both.
Do you think both are needed for success of the organization?
Sometimes, yeah, I think so. Yes.
I heard another yes. Transactional and transformational skills are needed for effective leadership.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It seems like you can't, if you have funds that you need to raise for that organization, you have
maybe a position where it's that you're trying to not always get money, but in-kind services. So to me, that falls into transactional as well, because we're still getting a good.
Now, should the leader be doing transactional and transformational, or should you be focusing on helping your team do transactional?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Team.
you should teach your team how to do
Absolutely.
transactional.
Because you will be in that ineffective space if you are a leader trying to do it all, right? Followers. We're going to use the word followers just for a purpose of today. Let me give you your money because I don't want you following Heather. Talking about, you didn't give me my money. Miss Martin, go ahead, babe.
Stated that good leaders are good
Influencers. Yes.
social influencer. How do you truly influence socially?
So when we say socially, think about, don't think social media, right? Think about social as engaging with people, right? So you can influence from a social space by building a network or a group of people that have skill sets, right? That you need in order to move your mission forward. Or
So is that hiring?
that not necessarily. So let me use in the Sandbox, which is my company, I have a client called Reinvest Toledo. I was given a contract to build this coalition that focuses on low to moderate income communities. And so my responsibility is to use my social influence, people, relationships that we have, understanding how to navigate systems. And we focus on improving LMI communities by investing specifically in neighborhood leaders, right? That's not hiring people. That's helping the individuals who are in leadership role or aspire to be in leadership role to build their skill sets so that they can affect change in their own communities. So that's social influence, right? We do that by teaching them how to advocate, how to raise their own voices. We do that by teaching them how to navigate systems of power, right? Or how to do trainings and things of that nature. So that's that social influence. That's not me hiring people. That's exposing them to the opportunities they need. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And Ms. Tina, I'm gonna lean on you because you're a part of RT's coalition. So help if you would share with everybody about your experiences from that social, the influential place, and what has happened as a result of you being a leader.
I'm a member of the coalition, and as Amelia said, you think I really need that? Okay.
Yes, you did.
As Amelia said, our coalition is involved with Reinvest Toledo. They have provided us with training. They also provide us with support. Wow. Some of the professional developments that we have had, the last one we did was food deserts in comparison to violence. And that was an awesome professional development. It allowed us to meet women who lost their children in violence in Toledo. It allowed us to find out what things they're doing. It also helped us to network in order to have some of those people come and talk to people in our community. So it's a plethora of different things that we learn, as well as some of the leadership stuff. Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. We've been doing this for a couple years, and it's definitely a lot. And Miss Amelia put you on the spot. I am involved with another thing that she is doing, which also allows me to grow my leadership skills. So yeah, it's been a great experience. Yeah.
Thank you for that. A lot. So again, just to build on that, so we met women from Sisters for Unity. Has anybody heard of that group? It's a grassroots organization that has been started by women whose children have been murdered by gun violence, right? And so Aviance is the individual who started the group, and she actually spoke at that event that Miss Tina is talking about. And what we did, we sat down and talked about the intersection of gun violence and food disparities in communities. And the intersection is policy and law. At the end of the day, you can talk about it all day long. If you don't change the policies and the laws, we will continue to fight these issues, right? And so social influence. And so as a result of connecting with Aviance, here's the next level of that. We applied for dollars to the mental health board, and we're going to get approved to do a showcase where these same women will work with a grassroots organization. Anybody heard of So-and-So's? The So-and-So's will be working with us along with Jason Dixon. He's an African-American male, small business. And he's going to work with the kids who are survivors. And the children will be able to lift their voice, understanding advocacy. That's social influence, right? And then the women will make quilts from the clothes that they have kept from their children who were deceased, right? So and when we do that showcase, it's that social influence, right? Because now you cannot make it a statistic. You're going to hear from these babies who left behind or who could possibly have seen their sibling get killed, right? And you're going to hear and then they're going to talk to you about the trauma, right? So that's why we have a mental health professional who'll be working with these groups, because we're asking them to take your baby clothes, you think that stuff not going to come back up? You think it's not going to happen? So that is the level of social influence. Okay, am I done with social influence? Everybody got it, right? Okay.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
With that one simple professional development, Aviance and I both were in the Engaged Toledo Ambassadors group. So she was in the group before me. So that allowed us to connect and network and do some things together. And also, too, and you don't know this, Miss Amelia, one of the young men whose family member was killed is a 5th grader at the school that I teach at. So now that I know that, I can give him support as well. And I can also help his teacher understand. I have a background in social work, so that allows me to be able to do some extra stuff that a lot of teachers aren't able to do. But just and not even knowing, I gave him a cookie. I asked him, did he want a cookie? And then I saw him walking up and down the hallway at the board, and it clicked. Oh, so I reintroduced myself, and so now I'm kind of like somebody that he can come to and somebody that his teacher can talk to as well if she sees some stuff going on.
Yes.
Is this a time for like Q&A or?
We're in our burning question space. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is mine. How do you create a structure where if something happens to the leader, the business doesn't fall apart?
It's called succession planning.
Okay.
And it should be a part of your strategies. Now
because when we say like you said, leaders are born, right? So I do agree.
Everybody will not agree to that. So I just want my disclaimer. Some people would not agree. They think that you can teach them. I just want to say I'm in the bitter barn right now. I paid $50,000 in student loan and got in debt to go to Loris and get that leadership degree. I could have taught them everything I knew already, but I thought I lived in the world. If I didn't have the alphabet behind my name, I would not have credibility.
Right.
I had people tell me, Miss Amelia, you do not need to get a master's in leadership. You've done it all your life. But I thought, no, people need to give me, I need to get, my props. So people need to think that I have these letters, so that gives me something extra. It gave me extra debt. But anyway, I am now out of the bitter barn. Okay.
No, I get that. I'm in that weird space of trying to figure out how far do you want to go with education, because what is it really doing? But I do understand the value in it as well.
Right.
But I guess that's my thing is when you say leaders are born, and I do believe that. I believe that I was born into a family of leaders.
Okay.
And so there was a special kind of leadership amongst us as a family because we were close knit. And so we could work well together. We could argue at home and then we get to where we need to go and we can take care of business because that's what we naturally do.
Right.
But then so I got to a point where I can understand how to work with people to get them to help me accomplish the goal. But when you lose those, that team that is made up of natural born leaders, at this point, I see it, okay, so if there's 4 and now we're down to 2, us 2 can still do it because we knew how it looked when us 4 did it. But when it gets to 1 or none, how do you make that business sustainable? Because I don't know how to create something that I can see down the line who's going to be a natural leader to be able to take it over or to keep our vision going. And being a new nonprofit, that's the thing that scares me the most is, am I doing all of this work and am I going to build this thing up and then something happens to me or my mom and then that's the end of it? And I don't want that to be the case. So how do I prevent it? Because I want this to be forever.
So understand a couple of things, and we're not going to get too far off topic, but I really need to answer your question. So we talk about when you are building your organization, you need to think about succession planning, right? Now, a lot of people in our community have a problem with succession planning, right? I don't understand why they think you have to die in that role and people won't move, but that's part of the issue. Just want to slip into a controversial space. My personal opinion as a community leader is one of the reasons why we cannot afford to move forward is because we recycle leadership and we do not give people the opportunity to bring a newness and freshness to this work, right? So that's one problem. So you don't want to build something around you, is what I'm saying to you. You want to build it for sustainability. So you need to have, the leader has the vision, but what you also need are good managers, right? Because managers manage the process, right? And so if the leader moves on or you gotta, you get married and you out or whatever happens, if you have good managers in place of your process, your organization will continue until you establish the new leadership. But you have to have good management in place. And every manager is not a leader, but leaders can be managers, right? All right, I'm hearing a lot of nodding. Y'all get that? Tell me about an experience where you put somebody who was in management into leadership and then they failed and they looking like you were great over here. I gave you a new title and 10 people and it just went sideways. What happened? Yes, sir.
Kind of go back a little bit. I have a military background.
Okay.
So you talk about born leaders, and a lot of times I saw a lot of natural born leaders, but in the military they're also developed. So you're talking about leaders, managers, and I think the big difference between the military and the civilian side is you always had that support up top. Everything kind of, like they said, rolled downhill as, you talk about succession plans, you talk about different things. So everything was coming from the top, whereas civilian, a lot of times you might not have that, support up top. So, I know about the sacrifice, you talking about being a leader. Like for us, we had to get up 4:30 in the morning, but the leaders had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because they had to get themselves together first. And, you talk about the sacrifice. So, that was interesting because I think the military kind of gives a platform for the management, the leadership, the transformation. They're heavy on transformation, but they also have some transactional as well.
Yeah.
So.
Like, give me those 10 push-ups because you didn't do what I told you to do.
Yes, ma'am.
That's transactional. That is not transformational.
Yeah.
That's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you get that 6-pack, but
You gotta get your money.
But that's an effective leader, right? Because he understands how to take that transactional process and make it and help it to be transformational as well. Who needs some money?
Who talks? If you talk, raise your hand.
Oh, I said that. Oh, it's you gonna want that money, girl. Trust me. Trust me. I'm gonna be auctioning off. You were here. Yeah. We're gonna be doing. I'm gonna be auctioning off coaching experience, life coaching sessions and stuff. So you'll be able to, do some auction. You can auction off and bid on getting some stuff. Miss Jeanette, you just trying to get all the money, Miss Jeanette.
That's so funny.
There you go. I'm gonna give it to you.
But okay, so I'm gonna be transparent.
Let's be transparent.
I think part of our reasoning, and I'll say my reasoning for holding off on the succession, because I know I want this legacy that I'm leaving to still continue on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm afraid of somebody being in the position that's not as passionate as I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can't duplicate myself.
Right.
You know, in the world, they're trying to clone people, but you can clone a person, but you can't clone the spirit. So part of my issue is, yes, I'm spiritual in that realm of saying, okay, God, send me that person. But then when that person has not come as of yet, and I know I got more years behind me than in front of me, you're asking, when is that person going to come? Because you want this to continue to go on. I don't want to die out in New Leaf Group.
You're operating,
but I don't want New Leaf Group to die either when I die.
You're operating as a manager. You're not operating fully as a leader, because a leader develops the vision and the strategies.
Okay.
But when you are managing something on a day-to-day basis, it is very difficult for you to spend time planning and visioning to create so that your organization will be sustainable.
And that's what I need to be taught then.
Let me say this. Just hold on, ma'am. I see you. This is so important that I say this right now at this juncture. In our community, when you have grassroots organizations, we cannot chase every dollar. I'm gonna tell you why. Because chasing that $25,000, which is not enough money for you to succeed, first of all, because I would hazard a guess that most of you are doing things that are behavioral based, and you're trying to help people change and do, a lot of transformation work, right? It made me insane when I was the ED at Friendly Center, because people would say, Amelia, you need to go after that $25,000 grant. Okay, Mr. Funder, what do you want me to do? Well, in 12 months, we want you to change the behavior of people who are 5 generations into poverty. I want you to go over to the Moody Manor. I want you to go over to the Brand and get a sister who got 5 kids and convince her that she needs to give up all her benefits to go get a job making $15 an hour.
Right.
And you want me to do that for $25,000? You need that to happen, right? That doesn't work, because half of that 25 got to go toward keeping the lights on and the doors open, right? And then you need me. You want me to offer them a meal too and feed them. Okay, that's part of the budget gone, right? They need childcare. And then who's going to have that conversation with them? Because I'm not a therapist, right? What professional am I going to put in front of them to help them? If they smart, they won't do it. Let me just put it out there, because statistics tell us you need to make $35 an hour off the rip to equate to lose all the benefits you would lose if you were no longer receiving benefits from JFS, right? That's research. That I'm not just saying that. It's called the welfare cliff. You can look it up. That's real talk, right? So don't get excited about chasing money as a leader. If you don't have people in your organization that can manage your processes, you can't do it all. And later on today, we're going to do an exercise where it's talking about pulling people into putting your leadership and understanding how it impacts every space in your life. Because you're a leader at the organization, but you steal somebody's boo, hopefully. You steal somebody's dad or mom, or you still, got to go to school and get that degree, right? You can't do all that. You have to manage your time. Yes, sir.
Also, too, you have to survey the people that's around you. Because be that person that could be at a 10. But we can possibly get them to be, that person that we need in our organization as well. So, I mean, I think that's where the sacrificing and trusting in people around us as well. But I know sometimes we get burned too, right? But that's the part of the game as well.
Well, what if, okay, and you're right, a leader should spend time developing their followers. But what if you hired Mama them to be on your team, to be on your board, and Pookie them, right? They ain't hearing you. You gotta spend more time trying to convince them because they're looking at you like, I know you from way back when. Oh, now you the boss of me, right? Then they give you all that attitude, right? Because now you trying to. So make sure that people that you get following you, they are teachable,
Yes.
right? That they are trainable.
Indeed.
Do not get a body.
Right.
A warm body is not the answer. And we do that because the grant funder said, I'm gonna give you $25,000 in 2 weeks, and you need to have a full team to do this. And you have not vetted anybody. You just out here trying to get a body in the chair so you can get that $25,000 that may or may not allow your organization to be successful in its efforts. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm back. Here you go.
Do this thing really work? Oh, it's for that. Oh, make sure you. No, what I was gonna say was, based on to keep sustainability, you have to find others that are around you that have that same passion as you have. As I've been taught in many leadership circles, that you surround yourself with those people that have that same passion and that same vision, and you all have a collective vision that will cause you to have sustainability. Like, make the connections with those people that can cause what is in your heart and your desires to be sustainable.
Yeah, they should have passion for your mission. I agree. But they also need to have some skill sets.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. But you have to surround your people with those people is what I'm saying. Like, you have to then not take yourself, don't be afraid to share what you have with someone else. You have to be open to let other people in, or no, you're not going to be sustainable.
A leader is not a leader if ain't nobody following you. The
Right.
end. Right. The end. Right? That's the end right there. Right. If ain't nobody following you, you're not a leader. You are a person that's out here in the wind trying to make it happen on your own. There you go.
I also believe that a leader is also a follower.
A leader should know how to be
a follower also.
Oh, you're not asking questions? I wanted to kind of comment. No. Okay. There you go, Ms. Mindy.
I wanted to make a comment. I worked for a company, actually a nonprofit organization that had been around for more than 120 years. In this, let me put it like, I don't want to call out the name, in this state of Ohio. And I looked at one of the reasons why they have sustained for all these years. And for one, they look within themselves for the next leader.
Right.
And they're constantly training. And they also will look into the community and tap on somebody's shoulder and say, you know what, I think you will be a great leader in this area. And they really develop them along so that they can be the next director. And they've been very successful. And I spoke with the current director recently. They are doing phenomenal things. And I'm really surprised. But again, they are very specific in the grants that they choose. When I was there, they were working off of 20 different grants that they had going on. In each one of those grants, they found leaders within that were working, because they've had leaders that lead, because when you work for nonprofits, everybody don't pay well, and unfortunately, people get that training and they move on.
Right.
But they're always looking for the next person to bring in. And I always tell people, if you stay in nonprofit, you're in it because you love it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It sounds as though this organization, they've been around for 120 years, and they have developed a process.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They have a process that they follow that works for them. Yes, Crystal.
That's what I was going to say. One thing about leadership and being able to be sustainable is that you put systems in place.
Yeah.
For example, XYZ get hit by a bus, but they ran the program for the past 5 years. There are no documents, there are no contracts, there are no explanations on how you do this, how you do this, how you do this. So when that person is gone, they might not be gone because it was a bust. They might be gone because they have relatives and they had to step away. Right. Whatever the situation is, it's virtually impossible to have sustainable moving forward when every couple of years you have to start back from scratch.
Yes.
And so one of the major things in a leadership role that you don't have time to do if you always managing something is to develop the system. Yeah. And that's a very difficult thing to teach in a group that they are accustomed to running without a system, and whoever's going to do it is going to do it. We don't have any manuals. We don't have any books. Nobody knows how to do anything, or that person always handled that. Well, that person is gone now.
Right.
So now what do we do? So the leadership conundrum, if you will, is how do you section out your time and your organization so you can do high level things and then meet those people. But for me, what I have seen for years in nonprofit management and just being in this community, I go to networking things all the time. I never see brown people. I very rarely find people. We are closed off. We are to ourselves. We don't want to meet new people. We scared somebody's going to take our idea and turn it in that. You can't do it by yourself. So you should want to have somebody take a hold to your idea. But we still sometimes, I think, in our community operate in that, right? Got to hold on to it forever. That's a remnant of slavery that has been over for centuries, but we are still very terrified that somebody's going to take something, so we don't share it, or we don't want people to know, or that can't go outside of here. Well, if it never leaves outside of the leadership team, you will never have another leader.
Can I just say one thing that she said that was so important is processes. And the company that's been around for the nonprofit organization that's been around for 120 years, every leader in every leadership role, we all developed a book or with processes for our area. Even when I was leaving, I had to go back through it and make sure that I had all my processes for everything that I did written.
Right.
And that way, whoever came in right after me,
they just pick up the
flowed.
Right.
Right.
We can read, but we can't figure it out in the flow because the person that picked it up is probably doing 120 things too.
Pastor, Mrs. Donahan, you had your hand.
Yes.
Oh, that's mine.
I just want to piggyback off of something that you said, and it's the reason that as a Black community, we do not support one another in our individual things, your particular venue, whatever it may be. We are so afraid to invest in our own community, and therefore we get defeated, continually defeated.
Over and over again, we just keep restarting.
Right. In the Jewish community, when we had children and we were given a gift, guess who got the gift? The Jewish community. They did it in the name of. And we don't think like that.
Right.
And that's something that we have to get better at, to support one another in whatever endeavors that we see are really beneficial to all of us.
And I think the other thing I just want to add to that, and I got you, Ms. Heather, is most nonprofits are usually in our community started because there's a need, an unmet need, right? So if you imagine, I need a house, all right? So you go build a one-room house. And then you discover there's another need, so now you're going to add another room. And you keep adding these rooms, right? But they aren't well connected. You haven't changed the ventilation system. You haven't changed any of the systems to accommodate how big it is, right? So in one room, the heat works, the other room, the heat don't work, right? Or you get hot water sometimes you don't, because we just steady trying to piece it together because we are trying to meet that need. And we are reacting from a place of emotion, right? But you need to be thinking and strategizing and thinking about that, because it won't sustain itself. It just will not sustain itself. And that is very hard to do because we got babies out here getting shot. We got people who hungry. I got senior citizens who tell me they too prideful to ask for food, so they won't eat, right? You know, we just have all these issues. We have children who are struggling with their sexual identity and getting beat up every day and scared to talk about. They just getting beat up because they just thinking something's different. They don't know for sure, right? And then we're not even going to talk about political systems. You know, oh, we want you to come sit on this board. Don't say nothing. Just sit there. Yeah. Because we need to check the box, right? I'm not going to teach you how to be a good board member. I just want you in the room, at the table, right? And we think we have to jump every time somebody tells us to jump. But I'm telling you, when I went to I left United Way, and I was managing the income area. My portfolio was over $20 million, right? Like I'm responsible for helping people where $20 million is going to go in the community and my areas of interest. Then I went to the Friendly Center. My budget for the Friendly Center was like, I don't know, maybe 75,000. I don't know. But the need was so huge, right? And it's like, I'm talking to funders and they're like, well, I'm telling you, Amelia, why should we give you money for your feeding program? I'm like, we may convince you to you should feed people. Right. I don't understand that, you know. Or so one, I remember when ProMedica just came on the scene, and I submitted this proposal to do HBC, is Health by Choice program, right? And so we were taking our food program. We emerged with the Kitchen for the Poor at that time, and we were trying to give people healthier food. And I remember one of my neighbors came to me. He said, look, Miss Amelia, I understand that you're trying to make me healthier so I can live longer. But this meatless Monday, it ain't working. He said, I'm going to tell you why it ain't working. Because I eat one day a week. He said, I eat one time a week. One time a week. Here. I need to get full. So please don't give me no salad. Please don't give me. Please don't, no. Because he said, I have a hot plate. I don't even have a stove. So I can't even warm up food. But I could get money to do healthy food. But y'all won't give me no slack and give me more money to make more food to feed people, right? Just because they're hungry. And so it's very difficult, Janae, for me to think about strategies and succession planning when I am fighting, right, to get people fed in my community. I remember one little kid, he was in charge. Y'all had the oldest kids gotta be in charge of all the other kids during the summer, right? Mm-hmm. That baby would show up. His sibling, he was like 8 people deep, and those babies could not get off the ramp. They were so hungry. They would get their food and stand on the ramp outside of my office and eat, right? But then I have some neighbors who are mentally challenged. They have food fights in the gym. They call. I'm at a meeting. It's like, you need to get back to the office right away because so-and-so is throwing sloppy joes at so-and-so. I'm like, it is very difficult as a leader to be thinking about all the stuff we're talking about, right? And that's why I said, some people, leadership is a lonely process. You need to understand that off the rip. Amen. Right? Especially if you're going to do something different. Because we run in packs, right? And when you separate yourself from the pack, guess who turn against you? The rest of the pack. Right? Heather. Okay. Can I owe somebody money? Oh, no, I'm okay.
I had a question.
Oh, it's you again.
Just
here, just go take it out.
Thank you. Wait.
Oh, Miss Donna, how you?
This a 10.
Yeah, I was checking. The appreciation. What? Like, I was checking to see if you was alert.
So I have a question. Just because she said, we Black and brown people don't typically support each other. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which I completely agree with. But, okay, I have a question and a statement and a story.
Okay.
So, week before last, right, I went to go get my hair done. Now, if y'all don't know, I just moved here in October because I'm getting married in September. So, I needed to get my hair done. and I am creamy crack free, right? So I'm like, okay, I need somebody. My hair ain't that crunchy, but it's crunchy. So I'm like, I need somebody who can deal with my hair. So I booked a makeup appointment at this shop around the corner from my house that I found on TikTok, right? I realized when I did the makeup, I was like, okay, she overcharged me. But I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna let it ride. I told the lady in the shop I needed my hair done. She was like, okay, I can do you, we do a consultation, da 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 da. So I go back for the appointment. I simply just get a color, a steam treatment, a trim. I asked for my hair to be layered. Y'all don't see no layers, right? Okay. And that was it, right? Come time for the bill, she didn't even tell me, y'all. She put it on the calculator. My fiance, I told him, I said, give me $80. It shouldn't be no more than 100,
Oh, yeah.
That calculator said 195. Now, mind you, I'm a licensed cosmetologist out of New York State myself. I know that. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay her. I'm just gonna pay her. I'm not gonna put up no fuss. I'm just gonna pay her. But I'm just like, okay, when do you step over the threshold of now you using me? Because now this is basically the second time. Because I noticed you overcharged me for my makeup. Now I know good and well you not charging everybody $195 for what I got. And she like, oh yeah, you should come back in 2 weeks. I'm like, girl. So it's like, where's that line of, because I want to, like all my wedding vendors, I want all of them to be Black, period. But I'm like, they just don't do right sometimes. So it's like, where's the line of, okay, I know you trying to play in my face versus I'm going to just support you because I understand that may just be your price.
Are you being transformational or transactional as a leader in this process?
I want to be transactional and I wanted to pop her.
But you chose a transformational perspective, right? Right? Because you understand at the end of the day, all right, I'm not gonna put you on blast. I'm not gonna get on TikTok and tell everybody what you did.
Hey, I want to do a TikTok story time so bad. I want to, but I'm not.
But
because I'm like, that's gonna hurt your business.
Right.
So I'm not gonna do it.
Right. Right.
So do you approach her with your experience and say, hey, look, this is my experience. Maybe you should do this differently, or maybe you should. I'm asking you.
I don't, cause see, I feel like she played in my face on purpose.
So how do we change the narrative though? How do we move forward? I guess that's.
I don't, and that's what I was looking at. Like
you have. So I would say I heard Mrs. Donahue, and I agree 100%. This is a chance for this is self-correct, right? This is a place, this is a teachable space. It's like, here, sister, I'm writing you this check, you getting this money, but let me school you. Sure. First of all, I'm your peer. I know this look like, right? Secondly, you are ruining your business because you are creating dissatisfied customers who can't put you on TikTok where I found you and mess your stuff all the way up, right? So it becomes transactional because you gave her money. But it's transformational because you're taking the time out to school her and educate her as a leader, right? Okay, I need to hit pause for a minute because I ain't paying no attention to my schedule. It's 11. Oh, that's it. Oh, we're doing great. Okay, all right. I saw a hand somewhere. Yes, ma'am. And then, sister, I got you.
But I just wanted to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
Collaboration.
Yes.
With nonprofits.
Yes. So there's referrals and there's collaborations. Referrals is when we all exchanging names and we say we collaborated because I gave her the name of the kids who come to my program and she gave me the name of the kids that come to her program. So we're collaborating. No, you're referring. Right. Collaboration is about sharing back office costs. Yeah. Collaboration is about we're going to hire a grant writer together to write a program for us. Collaboration is about stepping outside of and saying to you, this gentleman, look, I know your music program is much better than mine. So I got this money and music is a part of it. So I'm just gonna pay you to bring your skill set into my program. I'm gonna pay you what you're worth. I'm gonna pay you what I told them I wanted,
Mhm.
right? That's collaboration. That's an exchange. You know, you are integrating your processes. You are integrating staff. You know, you are going together and raising your voices around an issue together so you have greater impact. It's not a referral.
Right. So I know that we're all nonprofits here, and they're probably, I'm sure Crystal knows how many nonprofits are within this area, and it's a ton of us. But I don't see in our community collaboration, because let's say for us, we could possibly use probably half this room to work with us in doing things to accomplish things.
Mhm.
I don't have to take your funds, but it's your nonprofit, but we can work together to accomplish things for the community. I just don't see that happening here. Cleveland, for instance, when for Cleveland's all of their what do you call them, community centers,
Mhm.
they all collaborate together to write one huge grant,
Mhm.
and it's split amongst all of the community centers. I just don't see things like that happening here, and I don't even know the question. How can we do things? Do you ever see anything like that happening in this community?
I make that happen in my spaces, right? And so I say that, so for instance, with RT, we just wrote a grant and we are collaborating with Able, right? So we wrote a grant to do advocacy training, the next level of it, right? So we are going to identify 10 people in the community and take them through a 6-month learning opportunity where they will learn the skill sets on how to be an advocate. You will know how to do a campaign. You'll understand organizing and all that other stuff. You do it for 6 months. In my grant, I said that in order for when you take advantage of this, because this is some good. I ain't got this is some real people teaching this. Let me put it like that, right? My expectation is for 6 months afterwards, you would give 10 hours of volunteer service to very specific low to moderate income communities where there's already leadership happening. So now I'm increasing impact, right? But on top of that, I have a memorandum understanding with Able. And Able is going to work with my advocates, their attorneys, right? So they will help the attorneys, they will inform the attorneys on how to come into these communities and help people deal with their issues. But they'll also get on the job training because now they're working with professionals who have been trained to be advocates, right? So that's that, and I'm 80% sure I know I'm gonna get some money. I'm gonna give me everything I asked for, but that's capacity building in our neighborhoods, and that's a collaboration. And Able doesn't want money. They don't need the money because they have a budget. But what they need is the ability to connect with people to get to be gatekeepers into the communities they're trying to help, right? So that's collaboration in that space. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is that a good model? Okay.
So I just have a question of like kind of piggybacking off everybody in the whole collaboration aspect. I don't have my own nonprofit at this time, but I know I'm a natural born leader and I'm really good at administration and strategy. So how do you choose like what organizations to be a part of and what organizations to give your skill sets to without like overworking yourself and being run thin? There's so many different programs and organizations to be a part of. How do you know which ones you should lend your time to?
You interview people like they interview you, right? It's not a problem with you sitting down talking to someone saying, tell me about your mission. How are you accomplishing your mission? Here's what I can bring to the table. Is there a need for it? Right? And here are my boundaries from the onset. Right? I am not here to you work me like I'm a slave and I'll stole something. No, this is about you understanding my skill set. Do not hire, I don't want to answer the phones. I have the ability to teach people how to write grants. Do not put me at your front desk. Right? Like this is your opportunity to interview them because it's your gifts you're bringing to the table, right? I was at Girl Scouts a long time ago, membership department manager. I had 3,000 volunteers my staff was responsible for, right? And I would get these crazy calls from these women. and they having a bad hair day. So they just want me to go fire all the, like, first of all, I paid them no money. I can't fire them, right? But so-and-so, I heard that she's having an affair with somebody. That's not my business. She's a good troop leader. She's doing what she needs to do. I can't fix that, right? But it's like volunteers, and then I was always scared at cookie season because I had these people come out there. I want to be a cookie mom. No, you want to take my money and go pay your rent. Or I had women buying computers for their office because they were a cookie mom. They take the money and they would not. The girls wouldn't get it. And I would go to my leadership. I'm like, why aren't we prosecuting these people? Because it makes us look bad. How about these kids? How about these babies that hustled, right, for these cookies? Is that successful leadership? I would challenge that, right? Because they kept the image, and they brought the money in, right? But your system was flawed, and you didn't take time to address it, and so the children were the ones that were hurt, right? Because you were
those righteous cookie moms. Because I was a cookie mom, and I sold every cookie and sent every dollar back to Girl Scouts.
Man,
that's a hustle. It's hard.
It's a hustle. Okay, so yes, sir. And then we're gonna reflect and get ready to move to the other side of the room.
I hear we talked a lot about personal development, and we talked about how there are so many organizations in our area, and I think, from my understanding, a lot of organizations come from poor leadership because maybe someone was led poorly in an organization, so they wanted to start their own.
Yes.
So I'm a strong proponent of mental health.
Okay.
And I think that we got to get back to understanding that that's where we need, because we have years and years and years of trauma.
Yes.
So that's where a lot of our leaders are struggling with, yes. Right? So if they just kind of unpacked a lot of the things that they were dealing with, we'll be better overall. So
I agree with you, but where do they have the opportunity to do it? You guys are unique in this space that you can come to do. You can do this and have conversations like this, right? Because in our community, we don't do this anymore. My understanding back in the day before my time, the reason why we were okay, because we came and sat down and had conversations with each other. We supported each other. We owned our stuff. And we don't do that anymore.
So we're starting with the youth. Myself and other organizations that I'm partnering with, we're starting to bring mental health to the youth first, right? And then also, then we can work with the family as well. So, at least we can do our part.
Because kids don't know they've been traumatized.
Exactly.
They just think this is the norm.
Exactly. Parents don't know they've been traumatized.
Right. They don't. They don't know it.
Right.
So. We don't call it trauma. We just call it taking care of business or getting by or whatever. Getting through it. Right. They would not validate our struggle, right, by giving it a medical term.
Right.
But it's trauma.
Yeah.
It's trauma.
And then we're afraid because we think mental health equals medicine, but it doesn't.
Right. Mental health and mental illness, two different things, right?
Right. Exactly.
They try to do mental health. That's the problem.
Right.
We got to do our own mental health.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because we understand each other and we understand the lived experience, right?
Yeah. Right.
Nah.
Yeah.
And don't
isolated.
No, it was I'm about to say something totally inappropriate, but I tell you, I heard it all the time. The waterhead babies, y'all ever heard that, right? That's just like, what are you saying about this child? But they wouldn't give them away.
Right.
We kept them, but we didn't try to help. Right? We just, you are limited. We're gonna work around your limitations, but we are not gonna try to help you do better in your space. Right? That is our stuff. And well, here's the thing, Mr. We gotta make our own tables.
Yeah, that's what we do.
We gotta stop. Man. We've got to stop waiting for somebody to invite us somewhere, right?
We used to do everything at the table. Life was changed at the table. But now the table is back on 30 for us to get to the table.
Okay.
They just stole the chairs from the table.
No, we don't gave it away. Let's be very clear.
Mm.
We don't gave it away. We just need to be
Right.
very clear about that, y'all. We have, in our effort to assimilate, we have given away all our stuff, all our value. But when does it stop? We have to. It doesn't matter that it's Toledo. It matters that it's you.
Yes.
And you see the vision, and you have the resources in which to do something about it. Right? It's insane. When integration, my personal opinion, we gave up so much to be integrated.
Yeah, we did.
You know,
yeah, we did.
We lost us.
Yeah, we did. We lost ourselves.
In the
our own
process.
identity. Yeah.
I was the first kid in my family to go to an integrated school. Yeah, everybody else before me, they went to a segregated school. I grew up in Alabama under George Wallace. Need I say more? I have trauma. I have trauma. Okay, but first day of school, I was so excited. I had a little red book. I remember it so clearly. I went to school, sat down. The principal came in, the teacher, and none of them looked like me. And he told all the little chocolate children, stand up. We stood up, and the first words I heard were, I tried to keep all them out of here. Right? Trauma stole my voice for a long time because I did not belong in a room where people did not look like me. And you could not, had you told me then that I would be doing this, I'd be like, no, because I don't belong. I don't belong. That was my experience. My trajectory about education was changed that day. Right? Yeah. Those experiences, y'all, we have to own it and understanding that it still drives us. Yeah. As a leader, that drives me because when I get to do this, I have to tell that little girl that was 6, you do belong. Yeah. You do have a voice. You have something to say. But that little 6-year-old girl, she just sat down and just like, right? Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Because that's what he said. He tried to keep me out of here. So where do I belong? Where do I belong? That's the trauma we're talking about that inform our experiences, y'all. Yeah. And we have to be aware that if you're going to say you're going to be a leader, understand as a leader, that's the stuff that impact. You think about that stuff. Yes. You driving the car, but your experience in the back seat telling you what to do and influencing where you turn and where you go. You cannot compartmentalize it. Everything drives and influences your ability to lead. You have to own that. I need to hear from this gentleman. You said something earlier. Your voice was. There
you go, brother. I forgot.
You did not forget. You ain't getting no money, then. You know what? No. All right, sister, go ahead.
I had something before you was talking about that, and so I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said as far as our kids and things and our thoughts thinking that white is better. Okay, mm-hmm. So I learned now that I have to tell mothers that the white schools is not better than the black schools. So don't ship your kid all the way out there. My experience with my 2 little black kids at Crossgates, and I'm sorry, I know we have TPS. It's okay. Staff in here, but you know, I mean, we're talking 2000. I mean, and it's so real because she was able to play basketball on Crossgate's team, but then when it was time for the little cheerleading, the little black girl couldn't cheerlead. So I dropped my baby off 4th grade so she can cheerlead, and they made her sit on that stage, and it makes me cry to this day. But she cried and cried, and she couldn't reach me because I went to the mall waiting for her to get done. So she calls my mother. My mother don't even have a car, but she found somebody in her building to take her to pick up her granddaughter. Yep. So when I go get my daughter, she's not there, and all them people can tell me is she went with somebody in a white car. What? They didn't know where she was, and so I'm calling. Her dad was at work, so I had to call her dad and say, "Well, I don't know. You know, they said she was someone was in a white car. I don't know who picked her up." And so he left for her, but now he's mad at me because why didn't you stay? You know, and so probably about an hour later, I called my mom and she told me she had her. And it was so relieved, but it's like, who does that? Who does that? You know, but yeah, so we have to change that conditioning in our mind that the white schools are better, because they're not.
Okay,
know.
one more comment, then we're gonna reflect and move on to our activity. No, you don't get the money yet. He ain't earned it yet.
No, but I think that piggybacks on her. That piggybacks to her experience at the salon. You know, it's kind of like we gotta do the work and kind of enrich it and refertilizing that ground again, right? Because I mean, if people are having bad experience in black schools, then of course they're gonna send them to white schools. I mean, it's like, you know. So I just think we just got to do the work, and we got to vow to do the work. Honestly,
it's a lot of work to do. It's the mindset, right? Well, we don't appreciate our own value. That's part of the issue, right? We don't think that we're smart enough to teach our children what they need to know, right? Okay, yes. All right. Let's everybody exhale and recognize that we've shared trauma. Let's own that space, right? Let's just give everybody a moment to breathe. We've talked about some things that have been hurtful and harmed us, right? Yeah, triggers. That's important, that we just exhale for a moment. I appreciate you sharing your story, sister, and being transparent, right? I appreciate all of you contributing to this conversation. So in this moment of reflection, wait, hold on, stop. Boop. Sir, I need to ask you a question. Military background. Would you agree to this statement that men and women lead differently, and men most of the time in their leadership follow the military model top down, whereas women are relationship based and we operate from a circular space? Okay, all right. Everybody agree to that? Yes. Okay, we agree to that. Both styles of leadership are important. Yes, ma'am.
You said women lead from a what?
Circular space. So let me demonstrate.
Nurturing.
Well, let me demonstrate. I just need 3 people. Y'all gonna get some money. Okay, 5 people. Come up here. All right. I'm in a circle. That's called transactional. Okay, y'all didn't get it. That's transactional. I'm in a circle, right? As a woman leader, I lead from relationship based. So if Janae calls me and says, Amelia, I need donations for $100 to get some food, right? Men go top down. They'll call the head person and so, dude, I need you to make this happen and get this money down to these people. I'm a female. I lead from a circular space. So I'm gonna start touching I can touch all my people. Dude, I need $50 from you. Sister, can you call your mama and help me do something? Brother, how many kids you got can volunteer? Right? That's how we lead as women. We lead from a circular space, and men do the top down. All right, yes, sir.
Or we try to take care of ourselves.
Yes, men.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. This will really just make you crazy. When men lead from a circular space, they are said, oh, they're innovative and they're forward thinking. Right. If a sister leads from a military space, she is a Okay, everybody get out. Okay. Let me get y'all some money. Thank you. God. Has this conversation been helpful? Yes. Okay. What have you heard? Tell me what you're hearing about leadership. Transactional, transformational, management, both are necessary. Are you identifying yourself as one or the other? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Next door, there's 3 tables set up for Uno games, and then there's a big Jenga puzzle, right? The purpose of this is I need 4 people to play and 2 people to stand on the outside. One of you would be transformational and one of you would be transactional. And pick your team, and you're trying to get your team to win, right? I want you to practice using your language. If you're a transactional leader, I need you to figure out, what should I be saying to my team? Should I be threatening them? Should I be promising them a bonus? Like, what do I need to get my team to play and win this Uno game? And the same thing with Jenga, right? It's a lot of pressure. How are you going to encourage your team? So with Jenga, I need 6 people. Also, I need two teams, 2 people each, and then a transactional, transformational leader. So this is all about applying what you have learned, and everybody relaxing and laughing a little bit, right? I don't need nobody. We are not playing spades. I almost brought some playing cards in here. I said no. I'm not. No big whiz either, because y'all don't know how to act when it comes to that. Okay, everybody got space. Who got to play cards? Okay, y'all start shuffling them up. Make sure they shuffled up good. Okay. No, hold on a minute now. Wait a minute. Is everybody in the room? Is there anybody left?
Yeah, there's one coming.
Okay. All right, here are the instructions. Because we had less people. Y'all ready? Okay. You need to identify a transactional and a transformational leader if you have enough people at your table. The way it's set up, it should have been 6 people at each table, 2 teams of 2, and a transactional and transformational leader. Like we could do it here. Like this is the way it should have went, right? So you would be transformational or transactional. Transformational. This is a team, and that's a team, right? You're trying to get the teams to win. The transformational leader should be using transformational. Like you pick your team. So like Miss Linda, this your team over here, right?
Okay, this my team. Okay.
This your team. Okay, pay attention, everybody. This is Miss Linda's team right here. And Miss Linda is a transactional leader. This is Miss Berdina, I'm sorry. This is Miss Berdina's team, and she's transformational, right? Y'all gonna deal 7 cards each, or 9, whatever, and y'all gonna try to win. You're gonna be encouraging your team using transformational language, and then you'll be encouraging your team using transactional language. But you want your team to win.
Okay.
Okay?
You listen to both of them.
No, listen to your leader.
Oh, you listen to her. Oh, we don't listen to you. No.
Oh, no.
Listen to me.
Right. Okay. Here's how the rest of the next hour is going to go. All of you, I'm giving you all your instructions at one time. All of you have received a things to do list in your packet, a blank sheet of paper, right? With a things to do list, right? The concept behind this activity, which will be during lunch, so it's a working lunch. What I want you to do is to create a daily schedule. Just, what an average day would look like for you, right? I need you to break it up into increments no smaller than 15 minutes. I want you to make sure that you include the amount of time that you sleep. If you are taking kids to school, like this is way beyond just work, right? This is your whole day. And I want you to include that, to make a schedule that reflects your whole day. If it's working out, if it's texting, if y'all watching As the World Turns or Young and the Restless or whoever doing what, right? But I want you to include a meeting with a funder in Perrysburg. So that's travel time. The meeting is going to last an hour. So I want you to include that in your schedule, right? Oh, you get to decide, okay? And I want you to include one family emergency. You got a telephone call. You got to bounce and go take care of something in your family. How much time you want to give that is up to you. You might handle it through a phone call. You might actually have to get in your car and go somewhere. This schedule needs to reflect life, right? One day of your life. Make sense? Did everybody get all that? So your things to do list, I want you to create a schedule, a sample schedule, what a day would look like. I need you to include in there a meeting with a funder in Perrysburg. I need you to include in there a family emergency. Now, how you choose to handle it is up to you, but you need to have like a telephone call, like it's an emergency. I need you to interrupt your day and see about this, however it may look like. All right? Include your sleeping time, TV time, on the phone, working out, whatever your day looks like.
What time is the meeting in Perrysburg?
Whatever time you want to. I just want to have it on your schedule. In the middle of each table, there's a sandwich bag, and there's paper clipped together, $24, and the rest is change. Pick one person to start with. Let's say it's Crystal. Crystal is going to start, and Crystal is going to say, okay, here's my day, and I need you to start subtracting hours or dollars, right? And I want to see how much time, because this is 24 hours. That levels the playing field, right? Everybody gets 24 hours in a day. The concept that I want you to embrace is understanding that time either is your enemy or it's your asset. It all depends on how you use it. Successful people manage your time extremely wisely. Others of us let people steal our time, and we can't get things done. So when Crystal goes down her day, and hopefully Crystal is going to have enough time in the day. But if not, Crystal, I need you to write down negative. Yeah. Like I'm negative 10 hours. I need 10 more hours. Yeah. And then I want you to pass it to the next person, right? And the next person goes over their schedule, right? And hopefully everybody get a chance to do this. If not, but the whole idea is for you to begin to understand. And again, I'm going to emphasize and reflect. All of y'all get 24 hours. Everybody in this room. What you do with it is going to determine your trajectory. It's going to indicate to you, hopefully you look at your schedule and go, okay, really, I don't need to do that. I need to stop doing this. I need to be aware of that. And I threw the funding piece in there and the family emergency because that's typical, right? Life happens. People don't care you at work. Your kid's going to call you. Or somebody, they'll be blowing up your phone. Or sometimes funders, they don't respect your time as a leader. They're going to hold that carrot in front of you. If you really want this money, if you really want to be a part of this conversation, I need you to come tomorrow in the middle of the day, right? But you want to be seen, you want to be visible, and hopefully position your organization. So you have to make a critical decision. This is the life of a leader, not a manager, because a manager is going to manage that process. That's all they care about, right? The manager's day is set. I need to make sure payroll done. I need to make sure this happens, program or whatever. But a leader, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to pivot on a dime. Make sense? Okay, so we're gonna do this until, and y'all can take a break too. I know anybody had no bathroom breaks. Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm really excited about this part of the day because I get to be quiet. Okay, I don't know how long I'll be quiet, but I'm gonna give it a shot, and turn the conversation over to some very dynamic women who I called and used my social influence. Right, I called them. I didn't offer them no money.
She did not call. She made you call. No, let me be honest. No, I'm interrupting you.
Here we go.
Because I want you to also talk about time management. The fact that I talked to, look, time management. And I spoke to Crystal the other day. What day was it? Tuesday. And she said, well, I'll see you Saturday. So no, you won't. Where will you see me? She said, at the panel. I said, what panel? She said, Miss Amelia's panel. Didn't she call you? I said, no, she did not. But I was seeing Miss Amelia on Wednesday. So at 7:45 p.m., as I'm walking out, well, it was a little earlier. I said, Miss Amelia, this panel, what is this? Oh, I was meaning to let you know on Saturday, you need to be at such and such a place. So I said, okay. Did I have plans? Maybe.
But now let me react. That's my new thing, right? I have a mic. Thank you so much.
Okay.
As a leader, I understand my strength and I understand my network and my ability to net weave and who's in my circle. So I know her and I know the relationship we have. And I know that she loves to talk. One, you will see that in a few minutes. Two, she's very passionate about impacting community. And I knew that she would not pass up the opportunity if she could make it to be in a room to talk about something about leadership. Because you'll find now Evelyn is a business owner, but Evelyn also has extensive experience in the world of nonprofit. And she's been a part of making decisions on how nonprofits get money. And she can tell you about the frustrations that people are not prepared. As much as they have a good product and a passion, they don't have the structure or there are some other things that are missing. And so it made her job on a national level, because she'll tell you about she was a program officer for LISC on a national level, access to billions of dollars, but she couldn't give it to the people who needed it because they did not have the information you're getting today. And she was not going to pass that up. Were you, Evelyn?
The only reason I'm here, Miss Amelia,
it's because you love me at the end of the day.
Is because I woke up at 10 o'clock. Now we are supposed to celebrate Charlie Ray's mother's birthday
today.
today.
I should talk a lot. See, she give me the whole story.
But at 10:15, he was like, all right then. And I was like, well, where are you going? And he was like, what do you mean, where am I going? If you don't tell me the plans, don't expect for me to be ready. So I was like, well, I haven't even had 3 sips of coffee. So
all that great stuff I said about you is not true?
He was like, no, he was like, are you?
I'm sorry. Did I give you the wrong build up?
Are you going to be joining us today? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I will not. I will not go. If you tell me something the morning of, so your grace is that you told me 72 hours before.
Right, Miss Amelia. And it worked. At the end of the day, are you here? And are you going to bring your gifts?
So what I'll just say is make sure that if you ever ask your friends to do something, make sure they love you a whole lot.
And so this is Evelyn McKinney.
Oh, we keep it. I'm sorry. Oh, we're here. Oh, it's your turn.
So this is Evelyn McKinney. And Evelyn, just really, can you take one more second and add maybe to your bio things I've already said that you've done?
I mean, you made me sound great.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm hot. It's very hot in here. So who am I? I don't know.
Talk about Be Alive 365, your company.
But I was going to start at the beginning.
No, we don't have that much time. No, we do not have that much time.
Oh, okay. So in 2017, I launched a company called Be Alive 365. I do strategic design and consulting for for-profits, not-for-profits, government, and then community. But what I love about it is the flexibility for me to be able to navigate and do what I'm really passionate about. So been doing that.
And then also last year launched, I don't know why, but let's do lawn and landscaping. So, yeah. All right, well, we'll talk. So, yeah, so we're in year 2 and super excited about what the growth is going to be for this year. And then I have, oh, Lucky Bird Lawn and Landscaping. Sorry. Look, it just, I mean, sometimes you don't think about the names, you just think about the do. But thank you, Crystal. So busy all the time. And then I am literally a person with ideas. And so, I'm sorry, are you okay?
No, that was Crystal choking, not me.
Oh, with ideas. I mean, if I could just do a think tank all the time, I would. But right now with Be Alive 365, I have some things set in place. I have clients, but I'm really excited because I'm embarking in a new space where I'm starting to really design and hone in on the products and services that I will now sell as opposed to going and looking for work. I'm going to now sell with long-term sustainable revenue licensing.
All right. Great. Good job. Turn it to give it to Charlotte. So Charlotte Lawson, I invited Charlotte because, well, for a lot of reasons, but primarily Charlotte recently started a neighborhood association in North Toledo. If you know anything about North Toledo, it is definitely lacking in terms of the community voices being heard. And so One Street at a Time is a coalition member of Reinvest Toledo. And Char is one of those individuals we talked about that you identify and you position them to develop their leadership skills. But she's also had leadership opportunities in other spaces. But primarily, I wanted people here who are doing work in grassroots community to have access to someone who started that journey and talk about the challenges that she's facing, but also the wins that's happening in North Toledo as a result of her organization coming to fruition. And I'm going to introduce Sharday, and then I'm going to start out asking one question. Y'all can respond, and we'll take it from there. Sharday Moss is here because I asked Sharday. She would say I voluntold, but I asked Sharday. First of all, she has a beautiful voice. She's a songwriter and a songstress, and she sounds like Jill Scott. That's my personal opinion. But one of the things that Reinvest is doing is a power tour. I think we talked about it a little bit, and I asked Sharday to come on board as our producer for the power tour. Right, so she is responsible for the creative end, and that's finding the spoken word artists, the performers, and all that good stuff. We have a business team that takes care of the structuring and everything attached to that, the money. But I really believe in making sure we create platforms for emerging leaders to be seen. And Sharday is most certainly an emerging leader in this creative space, but in her professional space, she's already occupied leadership roles, which I'm sure she'll talk to you about. So I just wanted her voice as an emerging leader to talk about this movement in grassroots community and how we're doing things outside the box. And then last but not least is our friend, our colleague, my girl, Crystal Taylor. I ain't gotta even tell y'all what Crystal about, right? She about everything. She about her work. She about her work all day long. But I will say, from my space as a leader, I mean, I asked Crystal to join me in forming when I got ready to do Reinvest. I said to her, and I quote, "I can't do it without you," because I understood. I know what my strengths are, and I know what Crystal's strengths are. And between the two of us, we laid a foundation 4 years ago that's doing nothing but elevating. We went from what, $35,000 budget, and I hired her from my company. I didn't hire her for Reinvest, so I pay her out of my company, right? But now she has her own contract with RT, so RT is paying her. You know, and that's the way how you elevate your people, right? You don't hold it, right? And I know because of her connection to RT, she has garnered other contracts and gained more visibility because that's capacity building, right? That's that vision piece from leadership space. That's what we're talking about. We talked about all day today. And also Evelyn has had the opportunity to do some contracts under RT and influence leadership development. So it's about that net weaving that I talked to y'all about this morning, right? This is the weaving that I'm talking about. This is not networking. This is weaving your space and making sure there are people in it that can help you navigate and move and grow. All right. So those are our panelists. And I sent you guys the agenda, so you know some of the stuff we talked about already today. And I'm just going to open it up. Evelyn didn't read her agenda. I can see by her face right now. She did not read it. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. When we were going meeting, well, that's good. You saw the location. All right. So y'all know how to answer. Y'all know how to ask questions. So I'm gonna be quiet. Yes, y'all get money for asking questions. This the bonus round. $50 per question. All right.
Right here. How can I get your information? I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Your name is sitting right next to me. Yes. I'm Evelyn. Yes. How can I get your information? I can give it to you.
And we will make it available.
I'm okay.
We'll make it available in our follow-up email. So anybody's contact information, if you're willing to share so people can follow up with you, we'll make sure that it comes out in the email.
Thank you so much.
But I'll be here when we break, so if you want to talk a little bit, more than happy to. It won't be a break. Yes, ma'am.
Ask Mike.
Talk a little bit about your organization, Be Alive 365.
Sure. So due to the downturn of the economy in 2008, I worked in IT. And honestly, people who work, if you work in IT, I'm not slamming you, but I talk too much to be sitting in front of a computer all day. So I ended up losing my job, and it was April 1st. And I was like, is this a joke? And it was a no, it is not a joke. And I ended up running through all of my savings, my friends, my family, everybody did what they could to help me. And I literally was to the point where I had nothing. And actually, Miss Amelia called me and she was like, hey, would you like to come and serve as an AmeriCorps, which is a service position for a year? It's a term of a year. And I was like, okay. What I didn't know is that they were going to make me lead this insane effort for free tax prep across the community. And literally, I got paid, I don't even know if it was like $600 a month. So we struggled for the year. But at the end of that year, I ended up being asked to join United Way of Greater Toledo. And I always knew that my heart and my space was like serving. And so it seemed like a natural transition. After I was there for a while, I was like, okay, but God told me that I was going to be retired when I was 40. And I told my mama this when I was like in my 20s. And she was like, good luck with that. But here I was at 40 with nothing, asked to serve for a year, and then moved into a 7-year relationship with United Way. But at the tail end of that, I knew I wasn't going to work for anybody again. And so I formed Be Alive 365. Initially, it was under the premise of like coaching, personal coaching, and business development. And then I got these contracts and I kind of went and did whatever, but it has taken a number of years to really know, even though it was formed here, it looks so totally different. I don't even know, 1724, almost 7 years. Look, I'm glad I can count. Almost 7 years later. So it really was just moving on faith and making certain that whatever I did it right. I found a CPA. I have a very strong network of friends who are also business owners. I also have a very strong network of individuals who work in different systems across the community. That is by the grace of my having that experience at United Way and making relationships. I'm not gonna, if there's one word that you need to know, that you need to have, doesn't matter, it is relationship. You've got to be able to build
relationships, be true to your word, be honest, show up when asked, because then when you turn around and you have questions or need mentorship or guidance or someone to put in a good word for you, it will be there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I know you said that that you wish that you can think tank all the time. With all the noise that's going on in your head, how do you know what ideas and what things to go for or go after?
Miss Amelia and I just had this conversation like 3 days ago, right after she asked me to show up here. The truth is, I think about stuff all the time.
Me too.
All the time.
Me too.
Sometimes it sticks.
Yeah.
Like the lawn and landscaping, it was a thought. I'm gonna go do this, do this, do this, do this. Oh, I can do this. And it stuck. There are other things that I can tell you, thoughts from over 20 years ago that keep showing up that I cannot ignore at this point.
Right.
And so not every idea is a good idea for me.
Right.
But the other thing is, it might be a good idea for you.
Yeah.
And so there are because I don't have the skill set to do everything.
Right.
And some things I know I'll fail. If I try to do this, I'll fail. Yeah. But I might know Miss Tina is very good at this, and she'll talk. If we're in conversation and she'll bring something up, I might plant a seed and be like, "Hey, I've been thinking about this." Yeah. So I don't necessarily think all my ideas are for myself; they're for others. But how does that look in my mind? Complete and total chaos all the time. I just think. Here, somebody else take this mic. Thank you.
But I was talking a little bit about your experience being called out to start an association in a community that people are not engaged. How does that make you feel about it?
Well, at the beginning of the journey, I've lived in the North End for like 20 years. So when I first bought my house, it was the most beautiful area, right? So through the years, I have watched the decline and seen the decline. And I've also seen the decline in people just being involved, right? So my passion is the fact that I did something as a single mom, and I invested in where I wanted to live. So I'm looking at this investment, and where is my money going? Where are the voices that will advocate for me, and not only for me, but my community itself? So it inspired me to say, I need to do something. I need to say something. I need to start moving, because I found that while I have this passion, I also have Sade, who lives in the next block, who is on my board. And we are very intentional right now in building a whole structure, a whole neighborhood on with the passions that they have, because we still have people who live in the neighborhood. And we have a lot of people that are renting. So it is a challenge, and it's a very worthwhile challenge. I started with the Building Institute under Reinvest Toledo, where we learned all kind of wonderful things. So my infrastructure is going well. We are now to the point where our bylaws are done. We have our mission statement. We have our vision statement. We're getting ready to apply for our 501c3, and it's going to be unlimited. So it's very intentional for us not to be at the table and cannot reap the benefits. That was very intentional. So now we're intentional in building a core team and a supporting team. So we're having community conversations, and we're asking people, what do they want? What do you see when you step outside your door? What are some of the things that we can advocate for together? So that's one place that I've led. I've been in churches. So I'm a musician and a choir director also too.
So that journey is a little bit different. So if y'all know, if you go to church, is one thing you better do. If you in a leadership position in church, make sure that your vision is with the pastor, because if it is not, you're gonna bump heads with him constantly, over and over and over and over again. So learn that the hard way. So always make sure that that is in line. I was leadership. I work at ProMedica, so I was in leadership there. Chaos at the top, chaos at the middle, and chaos at the end. So that taught me that understand when you are applying for leadership positions, that you understand that leader above you, because you may not be in line with how they see the department and how they move in the department. And when you find out that they are chaotic, it is going to be chaos all the time. There is no reason, there's no way of reasoning with them at that particular point, because everything is always in chaos. So, and I think the other place, and I know that you guys talked about leadership and being in an influential area. I know we don't think about motherhood as being in leadership, but we are, right? Because we're influencing our children constantly, right? So through that journey itself, I realized that now that my children are grown, it's another place of me learning how to lead them as grown people, right? Because they're grown. They can do whatever they want to do. They can say whatever they want to say. I'm not paying no light bill, gas bill. I'm not worried about none of that. So the decisions you make, if they talk to me, we talk about it. There's sometimes that I can say things that they understand, and sometimes I have to hold my breath and say, Lord, you got it.
I'm going to jump back for just a moment. So you talked about one street at a time, which is your neighborhood association. And you went through a you went through a you're gonna be talking. No, you gotta have. You're gonna be well here. I'm gonna give it right back to you. Can't hear it on the recording. Okay. So one street at a time. You went through a capacity building institute with Miss Amelia. You then spent some other months working with another organization to further refine and define what you're doing. How long, and I'm talking in terms of time, how long has it been since you started the Capacity Building Institute?
So it's been a little bit over a year.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
And you're just now preparing for your 501c3. So I just wanted to make the point, like, you have to look at the work you're doing sometimes as the long game. It's not going to happen overnight, and you have to put the work in. And the amount of time, effort, and commitment that Ms. Charlotte and Sade, that they've put in to arrive right here, and they're still at the beginning. They're still learning from their community. So I think, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at, grassroots nonprofit boot camp, but you have to be willing to play the long game, because everything's not going to happen overnight for you.
I agree. And be very intentional when you're building.
I had a question about the chaos. So when you're dealing with chaos in organizations and you are in leadership, how do you manage that and keep yourself positive?
Very good question. So thank you. So I think one thing you have to realize, that because I was a supervisor, so I'm in the middle of the management. So here's a manager, supervisor, and then staff. So I had a staff of 12. Knowing knowing where you at in that leadership hierarchy is understanding how you're going to manage it, right? So in the middle, being a supervisor,
I had to manage my people to understand. And I'm not going to say manage, I had to lead them because my upper management is saying, oh, we can't give them the autonomy to do this and do that and so on and so forth. Well, in order for me to stay sane, I had to trust my employees. So while they were saying one thing, you have to be strong enough to say that, but I am the one directly working with my staff, and you have to turn out. You have to let go of all that chaos as far as dealing with your staff and deal with your staff. And then you separate. I had to separate myself with when I was not with my staff to understand the chaos, because the chaos meant also too that these people are in upper leadership and they was always in conflict with each other. Well, I let them be in conflict with each other, right? You do you. You stay in conflict and in chaos with yourself and so on and so forth. And I'm going to maintain this level because that was the only expectation I had, was to make sure that I maintain the staff itself. That makes sense?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I know that you're in the starting phases of what you're doing. I also live in the North End. So does my mom, and we have 3 properties on the North End.
Okay.
So I understand. I was I've always lived. My mama has always had her home, and so the Polish Village is no longer the Polish Village, and it no longer looks like it did when I was a little girl. And so, being that you're in your starting phases, how will I be able to connect with you to help your mission? Because I might not always want to live on the North End, but I don't ever want to let go of my property, and I don't ever want to stop coming back to help my community, because that is still my community.
You can just connect with me afterwards. We always got room.
Okay.
And we do have a our next community conversation is going to be April 9th at LaGrange.
Oh.
Yep.
What's up? Send me your information.
6:15 to 7:15. Yep.
Send me that too, because I got a lot of parents in my football league. We got like 2 teams over here. So tons of parents that are from the north side.
Yeah.
It's a lot of north side pride. I'm sure they need to hear the conversation.
Absolutely.
Look at us.
Just like
that.
Just like that.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, besides you guys, besides everybody's individual goals and this seemingly growing group, is there a bigger vision that you guys see or ever discuss for the community as a whole, and it has yet to be like fill in the gap, so to speak?
Yes. Yeah, I would love to answer that.
We cannot wait for outsiders to fix our community. Our goal and reinvest in Crystal Clear, in Maumee Bay, in one street at a time, Be Alive 365, and pretty much every organization in here is to see our community rise. But we know that we do not rise when we wait on outsiders to come in and be at arm's length to fix our babies. Right. We have football teams, cheerleading squads, basketball people, teachers, nurses, all of these people here. We've been here this whole time, but we never weave together until such a time as this. Is it going to be a long process? Yes, but the weave is on, right? He put all these people together, and now we meeting and talking, and it's getting real dangerous out here, right? Because we know some people. We getting money we never got before. We can call somebody and say, hey, I can't quite figure out how to get this application in or get these processes done that we need to get done. But we got to trust that the people that we know will help us do that. And let us help you do that so you don't have to struggle, right? What we're building is a collective, right? A collaboration that they don't get the chance to tell us we have to build. When we go and ask them for money, they're like, well, we think you should work with them. Thank you. No thanks. I know my people. What we're building here is trust, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. We spend 6 months together. We might not love every single person. That was kind of weird, something else going on. But do you know that person? Do you like what they doing and how they show up? Right? Did you meet some new people that's related to some of the people? If you heard Amelia, we all work together. That will not change. So all of these organizations in here all work together. So if you don't have that listserv and you putting out your next event into that listserv and asking people to buy tickets, for, like you saw the stuff from Maumee Bay, right? Do you want to buy a packet? Do you want to get your ad in front of 150 people that's going to come to a meeting? Then get a $50, $25, get a quarter page ad. Put your name in there and let somebody see that, right? Because we used to build our own community. That was so key what Amelia said earlier. When she integrated, she lost her community. We have been tricked to think that, and in Toledo, we got a lot of people that love their white people. They want to be the only black person with those white people. That's nice, but it's not going to suit you and your community well, right? So we have to learn how within us to love, know, like, and trust our own people and be able to identify when people do not have our best interests at heart. I'm not working with you just because you black. You notice that we dropped a lot of people out of this process because we had to vet. The organizations that's here spent additional time and went through additional steps. This model sounds very much like the Capacity Building Institute because we wrote the Capacity Building Institute and it was for a different level and neighborhood people from there. This is a social services space. We did the exact same thing here, and my goodness, the grant worked because of sound principles apply across the board. So the more you spend time with people that are like-minded, that are doing stuff, I don't mind sharing my grant. I don't mind sharing. It's plenty of money in Toledo. Plenty of money. You just need to know somebody that can get you access to it. Right? So the bigger goal is to raise LMI, low, moderate income communities, and eventually all the other communities as well. Because we got more money than we realize because we don't count our money.
What I want to do is talk. Crystal's talking about the tangibles.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the intangibles. I want to talk about the conversations that I get to have with people who are to the decision-making tables and figuring out where are the vacancies and how do I position people of color to get to those tables, not as an afterthought, but to be a part of the conversation so the decisions will stop being made and then we'll. My work, the level of work that I do is about, and I said earlier, it's developing that next team of leaders. We have to have leaders. We do not have leaders ready. People die, and our seats on city council are given away. People die, our churches are given away. People die because then they'll say, well, I've had so many people don't look like us, say, well, you know, we don't know where the qualified people are in your community. Well, and you're not looking. That's one. But shame on us because we are not prepared to take those people, to keep those people, to establish our own so we are not dependent on somebody else and we piss them off and they take something from us and transactional stuff, right? We've got to be transformational in our people. We've got to. I am in conversation right now with 5 women who I shall not name, but we are gathering because we are beginning to strategically look at where the vacancies are on commission board, right? And who in our community we need to put in the pipeline. Because that's how they did it back in the day. My strategy ain't new. They just did it in a different way. They did it around the kitchen table. They did it after church. They did it when they thought we were cooking. They was actually planning, right? All those things. We don't talk anymore, y'all. That's the problem. Where do you know these conversations are happening? This is the first time, right? Most of us have been in a room where we are having conversations like this. We've got to start doing it. We cannot, and I talk to young men about not being reactive. We are reacting. We need to respond. Do you understand the difference? We are reacting. They got $5,000. We want $5,000 too. What we got to do? The secretary become the case man. Right? That's reacting. Right?
Who's gonna do the paperwork then? Nobody, because I gotta do case management. Right. Yeah, work yourself to death. Work yourself to death. Do all the stuff.
I teach that was another time about being a thinker, but he spends time thinking. And we don't spend time thinking. We spend time reacting. So what's the bigger plan? Stop reacting and just because we don't see it, don't mean it's not happening.
That's right. It's a long game. Yeah.
Networking is transacting one off. Go in, get your business card, your change number, you're done. That leading is transformation. And that's what we got to start as a community.
Okay.
Oh no, it's fine. Okay. So, my majority of my leadership has been in nonprofit. I was a shelter director for 8 years, so managing a 24-hour facility, managing 12 to 15 staff, and then anywhere from 25 to 30 residents who were facing homelessness. I also, within that, case management as far as like helping them find housing and maintain that housing. In that process, I went through the Minority Executive Leadership Program, which is where I met Miss Amelia for the first time. She was assigned to me as my mentor. And me and my friend Summer, we both told her, like, you're not getting rid of us. So that was what, 8 years ago? Yeah. So when you talked about how to deal with like crazy leadership, so when it comes to people that were above me, it got to a point where they were asking me what I needed as far as to feel supported, but then they wouldn't give it to me. And so it got to a point where I had to go. I said, I'm not about to lose my mind here. And maybe the next person who comes in will be able to, bring the new ideas or whatever it is that they may need to move forward. When it came to managing my people, that took a lot of active listening, and then also having to be vulnerable with them. Like if I don't know something, saying I don't know. Learning to delegate as well, so that I don't stress myself out. And then my old boss, she had a saying that was, if you can't change your people, change your people. So like once you've done everything that you can to try to redirect their behavior and help them grow, if it's still not working, you can't let them bring down whatever you're doing. You got to let them go and find new people. But then also with that, I learned that if it's something that seems to be one thing that everybody is getting caught up on, maybe that means that we need to take a look at our policies, take a look at what we're doing, and see how we may need to change that way, because maybe it's not them, maybe it's us, But new venture is the Power Tour. And I'm thankful for this opportunity because my ultimate goal is to bring together my love for community service with my love for the arts. And so this is the perfect starting ground for that. And it's been very challenging, but I think a big part of what's getting me through that is remembering to ask for help, remembering that I don't have to have all the answers. There's people who do the things that I'm trying to understand. So collaboration has been very big in that area. Yeah. So we will be doing a call for spoken word artists, singers, rappers, dancers, DJ, people who play instruments. But the thing is, you have to be okay with being a part of a production that's a part of increasing voter education. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Voter education. Yes. Yes. Not registration. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we are doing, if you don't live there, if you have roots there, we want you to be a part of it, right?
Yes.
Be connected to that community. Because what we're trying to tell people who don't look like us is look at us and our ability to do this
Yep.
and to change our own narrative.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Because people assume that we don't go over ignorant, we don't care.
Right.
No, we just hide information from it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yeah, I ain't got to know you.
Right.
But so yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we'll be. Yeah, we'll be through. Okay. Yeah.
So just check out our Facebook page.
Yes.
Put our own Facebook page out under the Power Tool, but you can also find it under the Reinvest and our website. And I'll put everything in the description box on the YouTube. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Earlier, I had made a comment about not seeing the community getting together and collaborating. I really want to make one correction because that is what is happening.
Yeah.
And I am really grateful. I'm not originally from Toledo, but I've been here for about 30 years. I am from Michigan. But what I am loving about this is to see the community coming together. And I believe that we are going to do great things here. And I'm just expecting it. I'm ready to do some collaboration. I'm here with New Life Church, but we are a community-driven church. And there are things that we want to do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel because you all are doing some of the things. We just want to get together and make it happen. It's not about the money for us. You know, we want to, it's about, it's about the outcome. We want to reach these people in this community. I love that you talked about voter registration. That is something that is very important in my household. And even, you know, where I grew up, and I can say where I grew up in a little town called Maumee, Michigan.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, and I'm, you know, my home was over 100 years old by the time I turned 10.
Oh, wow.
So my family had been there for a while. And people need to understand what's the issues in your community. My parents always taught us what affects your family, you, your family, and your community. And that's how you vote. Figure out what is on the ballot that affects you. That's how you vote. And I am just so touched by what you are doing. I can't wait to be involved.
Awesome.
Yeah, easy.
Yes.
Was there a date for that?
But what we can do is add this group. We have our own email group here. So if you have things that Reinvest that you want to pull people in, if you all decide that is something I can do, we can always put that information also out to this group. Because you will be on this list. What do you think about that? Correct.
And that's very.
I was trying to
Crystal clear.
I was like, if you didn't say no, it's too bad because I wrote that email.
I'm the visionary.
Yes, that works. It is 1:51.
Wow.
We have any additional questions? We might run. I thought it was only a little early today.
I gotta do the auction.
We gotta do the auction and pass out who's gonna win the service. I also have to, maybe we can do that next week. I can do my stuff next week and give out the $25 gift card unless y'all just get you. Because that'll give y'all one extra week to turn in some additional certificates. All right? Turn in.
I tried.
What you want to do?
Say while the pool is small.
Right. I can run one. I can tell you I got this one. We can do that.
Because I know we only got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would just like to ask each panel to encourage
Don't be hard on yourself. Like it's a journey. So, in our mind, often we have an idea of where we want to be and we feel like how long it should take. But it's like the journey is also a part of the leadership. That's a part of it as well. Um, and then just when you get to a certain level in your leadership, remember to look back and realize like you're where you were wishing that you were now, right? And so take time to appreciate that. Also remember what didn't help when you were starting out, so that you don't repeat that. You know, be who you needed somebody to be for you. Yeah.
I would say with my journey is that love yourself and have confidence in yourself as you go through the journey. Don't. I'm like Sade, don't be so hard on yourself, but love what you're getting ready to do. Love yourself because you are embarking on a leadership that will not only influence yourself, because there's going to be some changing and there's going to be some noise in your head that was going on before that you are going to dispel, because you're going to find out just how much you could do and just how much you can do. And my last thing I'm going to say is, again, love what you do and love yourself. Thank you. I love you, Miss Charlotte. I love you. Thank you.
Miss Evelyn and I worked together at the Girl Scouts too. That was a journey. That was a journey. That was a journey.
Miss Charlotte was the voice of reason.
One more thing to say. I'm sorry. So, like, also, don't be afraid to take a break. Like, you don't have to give up, but you can hibernate. You can let somebody else do something while you get yourself together, okay? All right.
Amen. I really liked your question about, is there a bigger vision? And I think it was answered, but I also want to just caution you, like, leadership can be lonely. It can be isolating. But also being an agent for change, it's exhilarating. When you asked that question, I thought there's 4 of us sitting up here, but now I need to know what all y'all are doing out here, because it really is, as Crystal mentioned, it's a collective for like impact. And so I don't know if you're going to do a report out to the community or a showcase, but I think it's very important for us to also learn and for the community at large to also learn, like, what's going on, because I don't know. Okay. So my final word is, has anybody ever heard of the book Who Owns the Ice House? Best read ever. Who Owns the Ice House? And it is 8 life lessons from an unlikely entrepreneur. This is about Uncle Cleve from the South. And his nephew and another gentleman actually wrote the book. And here, hold this. I gotta open it up. Thank you. But they narrate a story which is timeless. So I was prepared. I did look at the agenda and I brought the book. Okay, dang.
I'm sorry you was trying to take it back. I'm sorry you told me to hold it.
You guys have got to read this book. Let me just tell you, there are 8 chapters: choice, opportunity, action, and I don't have my readers on, knowledge, wealth, brand, community, and persistence. As a leader, author is Clifton Taubert, Clifton, Clifton, Taubert, Taulbert, and Gary, Gary. You got to read that.
Schoeninger.
I can't read it.
Schoeniger.
but it's a phenomenal read. And as a leader, this is going to help you in the work that you do. It will also help you personally. They're big words. I mean, like, so it's not going to take you months and months to get through, but it's phenomenal. So I would just encourage you, if not this, any other recommended reading, any other interesting podcasts, any other community forums that you can plug yourself into, you will always learn. So just know that you are loved, you're doing the right thing, and keep pushing on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Keep showing up. I love my friends. My friends are nuts. That's what I'm saying.
You also need to be clear.
No, it's like, this is not a gift. I am not Amelia. I'm not giving out gifts today. Keep showing up. That's a very important thing. And if you are the smartest person in the room or the only one who can do something, you are in trouble. Keep that in mind. You cannot do it all. We have been told a lie that we are superhuman, and we are not. Right? You must get rest. You must. I told y'all, my therapist told me not to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm behind, but I did not wake up at 4 a.m. yesterday. Today I did. That's something to do. Nah, baby steps, right? So, see, all different times. Be in charge of your time. That's what this assignment was about. Be in charge of your time. Pay attention to your time, because I bet nobody put on that slip that they spent an hour and a half on TikTok, and we all know that happens. You did? You did? Yeah. You did not, right? We didn't put that on there, because I sure didn't put that on there. I can spend 45 minutes at a time sometimes, like, doo-doo-doo. I needed a break. That's my break time. But really, my eyes don't get a break, right? Because I'm spending them on the thing. So just a few things there, and trust your gut, right? If it don't feel right, it ain't right. It's not for you, including the job. It's 8.5 billion people now, or is it just 8 billion? 8 billion people on the planet. Find a new team. You don't got if the job don't serve you, stop working there. Leave the job. Now, I don't have little kids anymore, so that's not much easier. And if you got a husband, you might have to ask him, or a wife, you might have to ask her. But at the end of the day, get yourself good. That's the thing, right? You got to get yourself good, because a broken leader is not a good fit for anybody. That's all I got. No, it's 2.
I know, so I need to do this auction quick, so everybody get mad at me.
Thank y'all. Another leadership one? Okay. Yeah.
I do.
Oh, very nice. That's nice. Okay. Okay. All right. So men in leadership. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what so we're gonna put that in evaluation so we can have that. That's good. That's perfect. I got it. I'm about to get it right now while she's doing that. Thank you for the reminder.
I've updated everything now.
Oh, yeah.